Imagine spending thousands of dollars on a new kitchen. The counters are replaced. The walls are painted. Bright new cabinets arrive in perfect matching boxes. And the old cabinet doors, most people never see where they go. Now look at this pile. 96 oak doors are sliding out of the back of a remodeling truck. Some are dark brown. Some are honey-colored. Several still have hinges. Others have grease near the handles, scratches around the edges, and small holes where hardware once rested. To the contractor standing beside the truck, they are expensive trash. To the Amish widow watching from the shop door, they may be something else. But she doesn't know what yet. 4 months later, at 8:15 on a clear Saturday morning, 23 people are waiting outside that same workshop with order slips in their hands. Now look at the woman standing in front of them. Her name is Rebecca Beiler. She is 43 years old. Her dark blue dress is covered by a black work apron, and a white prayer covering frames a face that has not slept much. Her left hand rests on the front of a small oak bench. Set into that bench is one narrow cabinet door marked with the number 47. Pay close attention to the lower corner. There are 2 old hinge holes, a shallow scratch, and one short blue crayon line that Rebecca refused to remove. Behind her, buyers are looking through an open shop door at mudroom benches, pantry cabinets, and laundry storage made from panels a modern furniture dealer said no homeowner would want. And at the end of the lane, the same remodeling truck is coming back. Why did Rebecca save the old hinge holes instead of hiding them? Why did her first attempt leave several doors uglier than when they arrived? What happened to door number 47? And why did people begin lining up for wood that had already been removed from their homes once? In this story, you will see the mistake that nearly ended Rebecca's project before it began. You will see the simple sorting idea that turned one useless pile into pieces people could understand. You will watch a canceled order put 5 homes and Rebecca's reputation on the same 21-day deadline. Then you will see what the contractor says when he recognizes his discarded doors inside the finished work. If you enjoy stories about ordinary materials receiving an unexpected second chance, subscribe to the channel now. Stay until the end, because the buyer's line is only the result everyone can see. The most important part of the story is hidden inside that blue mark on door number 47. But before that mark can mean anything, we need to return to Tuesday, April 9th, 2024, one day before the truck arrived. Rebecca Beiler lived 3 miles east of Quarryville, Pennsylvania, in a white farmhouse connected by a gravel path to a long woodworking shop. The shop was not large. It measured 30 feet by 42 feet and had 6 tall windows along the north wall. A belt-driven line shaft turned the shop's larger tools, while hand planes, braces, chisels, and folding rulers covered the benches. Rebecca did not learn woodworking in a college or a design school. She learned beside her father, Samuel Fisher, who repaired chairs, pantry shelves, wagon boxes, and farm tables for neighbors who could not afford to replace them. When Rebecca was 9, Samuel placed 2 broken stools in front of her. "Which one can be saved?" he asked. Rebecca pointed to the one with fewer cracks. Samuel shook his head. "You looked at the damage. Now look at the wood." That sentence followed her for the next 34 years. At 21, Rebecca married Amish Beiler. He built the first half of the workshop with his brothers. Rebecca made pantry boxes and blanket chests, while Amish built tables, cabinets, and simple mudroom benches. They had one daughter, Leah, who grew up carrying wood shavings out of the shop in a basket. By the time Leah was 16, she could read a cutting list faster than either parent. She also understood something Rebecca often missed. Modern homeowners did not always know the names of joints or wood species, but they knew where their boots, coats, canned food, and laundry needed to go. 4 years before the cabinet doors arrived, Amos died after a sudden illness that lasted less than 2 weeks. Rebecca became a widow at 39. For 6 months, she accepted only small repairs. She was not afraid of the tools. She was afraid of promising more work than she could finish without Amos standing at the other bench. Leah was 16 then. She began keeping the order book, visiting customers with Rebecca, and drawing simple front views of each piece. Samuel returned 3 mornings a week, although his hands had begun to shake when he held a narrow chisel. Together, the 3 of them kept Beiler Woodworks open. Now look at the oldest object hanging above Rebecca's bench. It is not a fine table or a carved sign. It is one small pantry door with a visible patch near the bottom rail. Amos had repaired it during their first year of marriage. Rebecca wanted him to stain the patch until it disappeared. He refused. "A repair should tell the truth about what it saved," he said. At the time, Rebecca thought the line sounded too proud for such a small door. After his death, she hung it above the bench, but rarely looked directly at it. On April 9th, at 4:20 in the afternoon, the telephone in the neighboring business office rang for Rebecca. The caller was Grant Hollis, the 39-year-old owner of Hollis Kitchen Renewal. Grant's company was replacing cabinets in 12 suburban kitchens over 6 weeks. The cabinet boxes stayed in some houses, but the solid wood doors were being removed because the colors and panel styles looked outdated. This is important if you know little about cabinets. Look at one ordinary kitchen cabinet door. It is not a complete cabinet. It is the finished panel that opens and closes in front of the cabinet box. Many older doors were made with solid wood frames around a thinner center panel. They already had shaped edges, finished faces, and hardware holes. That made them useful pieces of wood. It did not automatically make them safe, straight, clean, or valuable. Grant had 96 of them stacked in a rented truck. Disposal would cost him money. He had heard that Rebecca sometimes accepted usable wood. "You can have everyone," he said, "but I need the truck empty tomorrow." "What houses did they come from?" Rebecca asked. "Different houses, mostly kitchens from the 70s through the 90s. "Painted or clear finish?" "Mostly clear. Some painted, some damaged. Rebecca, they are old cabinet doors, not family records. Bring the job notes with them. I will decide what stays." Grant laughed quietly. "If you start choosing, I may still have to pay the dump." "Then you should have called the dump." There was a pause. Grant agreed to arrive at 7:40 the next morning. Rebecca told Leah and David Stoltz, the 24-year-old carpenter who worked with them 2 days each week. David stopped sweeping. "How many doors?" 96. "Do we have 96 cabinets?" "We do not have one." David looked toward the open storage shed. "Then what are we receiving?" "I will tell you after I see them." At 7:35 the next morning, Grant's truck turned into the lane. Now, watch the bed of that truck rise. The first doors slide slowly. Then the weight shifts. Oak panels knock against one another and fall into a wide pile beside the workshop. Dark doors land over light ones. Loose hinges catch on edges. One painted panel splits near a corner. Rebecca raises one hand, but Grant's driver continues until the truck is empty. When the bed lowers, the pile reaches Rebecca's shoulder. Grant steps down, brushes his gloves together, and smiles. "There you are," he says. 96 problems with hinges." That was the first laugh. Rebecca did not answer. She picked up a medium oak door, turned it toward the sun, and checked the joints at each corner. Grant pointed at the grease shadow around its handle. "People paid us to get rid of that look." "They paid you for a new kitchen," Rebecca said. "That is not the same thing." Grant opened the cab door. "Call me when you find 96 people who want old holes." His truck left before 8. The second doubt came from David. He and Leah began moving the doors beneath the shed roof, while Rebecca wrote numbers in chalk on their backs. Number 1 was a wide raised panel door with 2 loose joints. Number 12 had water damage along one edge. Number 19 was painted cream. Number 47 was narrow, clear-finished oak with 2 old hinge holes and a short blue crayon mark near the bottom. David held it up. "This one has writing on it." "A mark," Leah said. "Not writing." "A customer will call it damage." Rebecca took the door from him. "Then we will not promise it to a customer." David looked across the pile. "If we keep all of these, people will think we make furniture from trash because we cannot afford wood." That was the second doubt, and it mattered more than Grant's laughter. David cared about the shop. He was afraid the pile would change what the name Beiler meant. Rebecca understood him. She was afraid of the same thing. The third doubt arrived 2 days later in a clean pickup truck. Nolan Price was 54 and owned a modern furniture store near Lancaster. He occasionally bought Rebecca's small benches and side tables. He had come to collect 2 maple nightstands. Then he saw the doors. "What happened here?" "Kitchen remodels," Rebecca said. Nolan walked around the pile without touching it. "Homeowners are removing this style." "I know." "Then why would they buy it again?" Rebecca looked toward the shop. "It may not return as a kitchen." Nolan shook his head. "My buyers want smooth finishes, matching color, and no mystery holes. Old wood can sell. Old cabinet doors look like old cabinet doors." Before leaving, he pointed to the painted panels. "Be careful with those. You do not know every coating in that pile." On that point, Rebecca agreed. She separated painted and unknown finish doors for professional assessment and refused pieces with rot, deep contamination, or unstable joints. Several were never used, but she kept more than 70 clear-finished oak and maple doors beneath the shed. Then she made her first serious mistake. Rebecca believed Nolan had identified the problem correctly. The doors looked too different. So she tried to make them match. She chose 8 oak doors and began removing years of finish, wear, and color until each surface looked equally pale. Now compare these 2 images. On the left is door number 6 before Rebecca begins. Its finish is dark, but the grain is even. On the right is the same door after hours of work. One section is pale, another has absorbed old color. A dark shadow remains around the handle. The harder Rebecca tried to erase the door's past, the more uneven it became. Then she placed one damp panel too near the shop's heat overnight. By morning, the center had moved, and one corner no longer rested flat on the bench. David laid a straight edge across it. Light showed beneath the middle. "It is warped," he said. Rebecca did not need the straight edge to see it. In 4 days, she had spent 31 working hours and made several doors less useful than before. Grant had called them 96 problems. Rebecca had just proved that one impatient carpenter could create a few more. She carried the warped door to the wall, leaned it beneath Amos's old pantry door, and stood there with her hands at her sides. "Now keep your eyes on those 2 doors. One had been repaired without hiding every mark. The other had been damaged because Rebecca tried to hide them all." That difference was about to change the entire project. Rebecca stayed in the shop after Leah and David went home. The late afternoon light moved across Amos's pantry door and stopped on the visible patch near its bottom rail. She remembered the day he made that repair. They had been married 11 months. A customer brought them the door after a water bucket broke the lower corner. Rebecca shaped a patch so exact that she believed the joint could disappear beneath dark stain. Amos stopped her before she mixed the color. "The new wood will darken in its own time," he said. "The customer will see the repair." "Good, then he will know what was saved." Rebecca had rolled her eyes. Now, 22 years later, she finally understood what bothered her about the pile outside. She had been treating difference as damage. Some differences were damage. Rot was damage. A loose joint could be damage. An unknown coating could be a risk. A warped panel might never close properly again. But an old hinge hole was not automatically damage. A darker handle mark was not the same as a broken rail. And two doors did not need to match before they could belong to the same useful piece. The next morning, Rebecca asked Leah to bring the order ledger, 3 pieces of chalk, and every measuring stick in the shop. "Are we selling doors?" Leah asked. "Not yet. First, we are learning what we actually have." Now look down from above. The pile that seemed random on Friday becomes 6 straight rows by Monday afternoon. The first row holds sound oak doors between 12 and 15 inches wide. The second holds wider oak panels. The third holds maple. The fourth holds doors needing minor joint repair. The fifth holds memory marks, unusual shapes, and hardware patterns worth preserving. The last row holds rejected pieces that will not enter customer furniture. Leah writes each number, size, wood type, condition, and source group in the ledger. David removes loose hardware only after the number is recorded. Rebecca checks whether each door lies flat and whether its joints remain sound. Door number 47 goes into the 5th row. Leah touches the blue mark. "You still want to keep this?" "Yes." "For what?" Rebecca looks at the small pantry door above her bench. "I do not know yet." This sorting system was not exciting to watch from the road. No beautiful furniture appeared that day. But it solved the first problem. Rebecca no longer had one pile of 96 useless doors. She had groups of finished panels with known sizes, visible limits, and different possible jobs. Here is the simple idea. Look at a strong, new wooden frame. That frame carries the weight of a bench, cabinet, or locker. Now look at an old cabinet door attached to its front. The door does not need to hold the building together. It can serve as a face, a side panel, or an access door. Its shaped edges and center panel already provide detail that would take time and new material to reproduce. The old door was not the whole piece. It was one useful part inside a better plan. Rebecca explained it to David by placing an old quilt over a new bed frame. "The quilt does not hold the bed up," she said, "but it is still the part people remember." David ran his thumb across the old hinge holes on one oak door. "And these?" "We repeat them, or place them where they make sense. We do not pretend they were never there." Her first prototype was for Sarah King, Rebecca's 45-year-old neighbor and closest friend. Sarah's back entrance had become a daily fight between 6 pairs of boots, 3 coats, market baskets, and a wooden box of kindling. She did not ask for fashionable furniture. She asked for a clear floor. Rebecca built a sound new frame with a bench at the bottom, 4 divided spaces beneath it, and 3 tall storage sections above. She selected 7 old oak doors from the same color family, but did not force them to become identical. Now watch where she places the old hinge holes. Instead of scattering them across the front, Rebecca turns the doors so the holes form 2 repeated vertical lines. Dark wooden pegs fill several openings. Other marks remain visible near the edges. The pattern looks deliberate because it is deliberate. When the piece arrives at Sarah's house, David still looks uncertain. "It looks old," he says. Sarah opens one door, hangs 2 coats, places a basket on the shelf, and sits on the bench to remove her boots. "So do I," she says. "We both still work." That afternoon, Sarah's sister sees the bench and asks Rebecca to build a smaller version for a laundry room. It is not a line of buyers. It is one question. But one honest question is more useful than 3 people laughing. During May, Rebecca builds 3 more prototypes. The second is a pantry wall with mismatched maple doors arranged from narrow to wide. The third is a laundry cabinet using 4 short oak panels. The fourth is a simple entry bench with one original handle shadow left visible beneath a clear protective finish. Not every attempt works. One repaired joint opens again, and the door is removed from customer use. Two panels carry a smell Rebecca cannot identify, so she rejects them. Another door twists after moving from the open shed into the dryer shop. Rebecca keeps a red chalk mark on every rejected piece. Look at the numbers in Leah's ledger. 96 doors arrived. 73 passed the first inspection. 68 remained suitable after time inside the shop. By the beginning of June, 19 had been used in 4 prototypes and 2 customer pieces. The numbers matter because saved everyone did not mean pretending every piece was perfect. Rebecca saved the useful wood, the honest marks, and the information each failed piece gave her. The warped test door stayed on the wall. Whenever a visitor admired the finished bench, Rebecca showed that door too. "Why display your mistake?" Nolan asked when he returned in June. Rebecca placed a straight edge across the warped panel. "Because this is where the idea changed." Nolan examined the pantry wall, but did not soften. "It is clever," he said. "Clever is not the same as sellable. Sarah bought hers. Sarah is your friend. Her sister is not." Nolan smiled. "Bring these to the summer home market. Let strangers decide." Rebecca agreed. "If you value work that does not hide its first failure, subscribe to the channel." Rebecca had learned how to turn the old doors into useful panels, but she still had not proven that people beyond her neighbors would pay for them. And the test, waiting at the home market, would be much harder than one doubtful furniture dealer. On July 6th, Rebecca, Leah, and David carried 2 benches and 1 narrow pantry unit into a covered market outside Lancaster. 32 makers displayed tables, cabinets, quilts, pottery, baskets, and garden tools. Rebecca's booth looked different from every polished furniture display around it. Now compare the fronts. The booth on the left shows 6 identical white cabinets with smooth doors and new black handles. Rebecca's booth on the right shows warm oak panels in 3 shades, old hinge points arranged into repeating lines, and small chalk cards identifying where each group of doors came from. People stop. They touch the grain. They open the doors. They ask why one panel is darker than the next. But touching is not buying. By noon, Rebecca has answered 40 questions and written only 1 small order. Nolan visits at 12:20. "Interest," he says, looking at the crowd. "Not a market." Then he raises his voice just enough for 2 nearby customers to hear. "Could you make 5 matching sets for 5 new houses?" Rebecca looks at the 3 shades of oak in front of her. "I could make 5 related sets. That is not what builders order. Then builders may not be my customers." Nolan nods toward the crowd. "These people enjoy the story. Their kitchens still have matching doors." That was his strongest criticism because part of it was true. A story could bring people to a booth. Only useful work would bring them back with measurements and money. At 2:10, a woman named Monica Reed enters Rebecca's booth and spends 11 minutes opening every door on the narrow pantry unit. Monica is 51 and manages small residential projects for Ridgeway Homes, a regional builder completing 5 modest cottages outside Lidditz. The cottages are not luxury houses. Each has a small back entrance, a compact laundry area, and a pantry wall where every inch matters. Monica asks the same question Nolan asked. "Could you build 5 related sets?" Rebecca studies her face. "Related, yes. Identical, no." "Good. Identical is not what I need." Monica takes a card and leaves without explaining more. 2 days later, she arrives at Beiler Woodworks with rolled plans under one arm. Her storage supplier has canceled. 5 cottage packages are missing mudroom benches, laundry cabinets, and pantry fronts. The open house date is 26 days away. Installation must begin in 21. Monica places the drawings on Rebecca's bench. I need 15 pieces across 5 homes, she says. The frames must be dependable. The fronts may vary. Rebecca looks toward the sorted doors. 49 usable panels remain. The order will require at least 42. What happens if one group fails inspection? Rebecca asks. Then I miss the opening, or buy temporary storage twice. What happens if I promise before checking? Then both of us miss it. Rebecca appreciates that answer. She asks for one day. That night, Leah spreads the plans across the kitchen table. David brings the door ledger. Samuel studies the dimensions through thick glasses. Now look at the space between the two numbers. 49 doors are available. 42 are needed. 7 doors are the entire margin between a completed order and failure. Then Samuel points to a note beside 6 panels. These have not spent a full month inside the shop. Rebecca knows what he means. If even part of that group moves as the wood adjusts, the margin may disappear. She closes the plan roll. We inspect everyone again before I answer. At 6 the next morning, the 4 of them begin. By 11, 3 doors carry new red rejection marks. The margin has fallen from 7 to 4. And Rebecca still has not examined door number 47. She carries it to the center bench. The narrow oak frame is straight. The joints remain tight. The clear finish is worn but stable. 2 hinge holes sit near the left edge. Then Rebecca turns the lower corner toward the window. The blue crayon mark is only 3 inches long. David reaches for the inspection chalk. Green? Rebecca hesitates. Before she answers, a car stops near the lane. An older woman steps out with Grant Hollis's job sheet folded in her hand. Her name is Evelyn Carter. She is 72 and has lived in the same brick house for 41 years. Grant's company finished her kitchen 3 days earlier. Evelyn told the crew she wanted to keep one narrow oak door, but the request never reached the driver. When her daughter called the company, Grant said the old doors had gone to an Amish workshop. Rebecca shows her the sorted rows. Evelyn walks past 3 narrow doors before stopping at number 47. Now look at her hand. She does not touch the grain or the hinge holes. Her finger goes directly to the blue line. This one, she says. Leah checks the source number on the back against Grant's notes. Evelyn is right. The mark was made by her daughter, Maggie, at 4 years old while Evelyn cooked supper. Evelyn tried to wash it away that evening, but a thin blue line remained near the floor for 36 years. My new kitchen is beautiful, Evelyn says, but when that door left, I realized I had thrown away the last mark she made in that room. Rebecca looks at the 42-door order on the bench. Then she places number 47 beside Evelyn. This door is not part of the cottage order, she says. The margin falls from 4 to 3. Evelyn does not ask Rebecca to return the door, unchanged. She has nowhere to use it. She asks for a small entry bench for Maggie's home. Can you leave the blue line? Rebecca thinks of the 8 doors she tried to make identical. Yes, she says. That is the one part I will not improve. After Evelyn leaves, David looks at the empty space in the row. 3 extra doors, he says. 3 honest doors, Rebecca answers. At 2 that afternoon, she accepts Monica's order. The next 21 days are not a magical building montage. They are a sequence of small decisions that can still go wrong. Rebecca assigns each cottage a family of tones rather than one exact color. Leah labels the plans, A through E, and matches door numbers to every opening. David builds the new frames and checks each cabinet against the measurements. Samuel sits near the north windows and inspects joints before any old panel is fitted. Keep your eyes on Leah's chalkboard. 5 columns represent 5 cottages. Each morning, An empty square waits beneath the words, mudroom, laundry, and pantry. Each evening, Leah fills only the squares that have passed Rebecca's final check. On day 4, one maple door develops a twist. The margin falls to 2. On day 9, David drills into an old hidden screw and damages the edge of one panel. The margin falls to 1. David expects Rebecca to become angry. She examines the damaged edge and places a red chalk mark on the back. "I should have found the screw," he says. "And I should have marked the risk," Rebecca replies. "We do not rescue the schedule by hiding a weak edge." That door joins the warped first attempt on the wall. On day 11, a repaired joint on another panel opens under a final fit check. Rebecca rejects that door too. Now there is no margin. 42 accepted doors remain for 42 places. If one more fails, the order changes. On day 12, Monica visits. She sees 5 new mudroom frames standing in a row. None has doors yet. "Will they be ready?" she asks. Rebecca points to the chalkboard. "If these panels remain stable." That is not a yes. It is the truth I have today. Monica studies the rejected doors on the wall. Another shop would hide those before a customer arrived. Another shop may have a larger margin. Monica does not laugh. She removes one request from the plan. A decorative upper door in each laundry room can be replaced by an open shelf without reducing storage. 5 doors return to the margin. This is why the order succeeds. Not because Rebecca suddenly works faster than everyone else. Not because every discarded panel becomes perfect. It succeeds because Monica protects the useful goal instead of protecting a drawing that no longer fits reality. The cottages need storage. They do not need 5 unnecessary doors above 5 washing machines. On day 16, the first completed mudroom set stands beneath the shop windows. Now compare it with the pile from April. The same honey oak is present. The old panel shapes are still visible. A pair of hinge holes forms a straight line beside 3 dark pegs. But the doors no longer overlap in a random heap. Each one belongs to a measured frame, a real opening, and a household need. David runs his hand over the first bench. "I thought the holes would make us look careless," he says. "They would, if we placed them carelessly," Rebecca answers. "I told people this pile would damage the shop's name." Rebecca hands him the next plan. "Then help the work repair it." That is David's apology. Rebecca does not make him repeat it. Installation begins on day 20. The 5 cottages stand along one curved road, each with a small porch and a narrow back entrance. Cottage A receives warm honey oak. Cottage B receives darker panels with simple square centers. Cottage C receives mixed oak, arranged from light at the top to dark at the bottom. Cottages D and E use maple and oak in repeated pairs. No 2 sets are identical. All 5 feel related, because the frames, proportions, pegs, and handle positions follow the same quiet rules. On July 30th, at 6:40 in the evening, Leah fills the last square on the chalkboard. 15 storage pieces are complete. 37 old cabinet doors have entered the cottages. 5 planned openings became useful shelves. The remaining accepted doors stay in Rebecca's shop for later work. Monica walks through every cottage the next morning. She sits on each bench. She opens every pantry front. She checks that the frames stand square and that the doors move without rubbing. At Cottage C, she stops near an old handle shadow. "Will buyers think this is a stain?" "Some will," Rebecca says. "What will you tell them?" "That it is where a family opened its kitchen for years. If they want it hidden, this is not their cottage." Monica smiles. That may be the best sales sentence I have heard this month. The open house begins on August 3rd. Nolan Price arrives before noon. He enters Cottage B, opens the laundry cabinet, and studies the repeated hinge points. 5 related sets, he says. That was the order. I said builders would not ask for that. One did. Nolan watches a young couple compare the pantry in cottage B with the one in cottage C. I was wrong about one thing, he says. Rebecca waits. The old holes are not the first thing people see. What is? Where they can put their boots. That is Nolan's apology. It is not warm, but it is accurate. By the end of the open house, all 5 cottages have serious buyers. Monica receives 14 questions about the storage and gives Rebecca's contact card to each person who asks. Evelyn's bench is completed 4 days later. Rebecca uses new wood for the frame and door number 47 as the front of a shallow storage space beneath the seat. The old hinge holes remain near one edge. The blue mark remains at the lower corner. When Maggie Carter arrives, she kneels before the bench. I did that, Evelyn laughs. You denied it for 36 years. Maggie touches the line but does not rub it. I thought the whole kitchen was gone. Rebecca places Amos's folding ruler back in her apron pocket. The kitchen changed, she says. That is not the same as everything being gone. Evelyn's family plans to place the bench inside Maggie's back entrance after Rebecca displays it for one Saturday morning. A photograph of the blue mark reaches 3 relatives, then several neighbors, then people who attended the cottage opening. Leah begins receiving written requests. One asks for a pantry made from doors removed during a grandmother's renovation. Another asks for a laundry cabinet that can keep 2 original handles. A third homeowner does not own old doors at all. He simply wants a mudroom bench like the one in cottage B. By Friday evening, Leah has 23 serious requests with measurements or scheduled visits. She gives each person a time for Saturday morning. Now, we return to the image from the beginning. It is August 10th, 8:15 in the morning. 23 buyers wait outside Beiler Woodworks with order slips in their hands. Rebecca stands near the first table with the warped test door hanging on the wall behind her. The bench made with door number 47 is not for sale. Evelyn and Maggie have allowed Rebecca to display it for one morning before it is delivered later that day. At 8:23, Grant Hollis's truck turns into the lane. He is carrying 41 more cabinet doors from another group of remodels. Grant steps out expecting an empty yard and a quick unloading. Then he sees the line. Look at his face as he recognizes the oak panels in a finished mudroom unit near the shop entrance. He walks to Rebecca. These people are buying the old doors? They are ordering storage, made from doors my customers removed. Some of them. Grant looks at the order slips. You sold their trash back to them. Rebecca turns toward the pile he delivered 4 months earlier. Only a few accepted panels remain beneath the shed. No, she says. You left the wood. They came for the work. Grant has no quick answer. One buyer asks Rebecca whether the new truckload will be available for a pantry project. Another wants the narrow sizes for a hall cabinet. Grant looks from the truck to the line. Do you want all 41? Rebecca shakes her head. Unload them one at a time. Leah will record the source. We will inspect before anything stays. That will take all morning. So did dumping 96 problems. Grant smiles once, but he does not laugh. He lowers the first door by hand. Within the next 3 months, Rebecca accepts only part of what remodeling crews bring her. Some doors return to proper disposal. Some are kept for repair practice. Others become fronts and panels in useful pieces built on sound frames. She never promises that old means better. She promises to look before deciding that old means finished. Now take one final look around the workshop. On the wall is the warped door that records Rebecca's first failure. Above the bench is Amos's repaired pantry door with its honest patch. In the ledger are Leah's chalk numbers. In Maggie's home is the blue crayon line that 36 years could not erase. And outside are homeowners waiting for storage made from wood no one had bothered to understand. If this story made you think about what disappears during an ordinary home renovation, subscribe to the channel. Then tell us in the comments, would you have removed the blue mark or protected it? Rebecca Beiler did not save 96 perfect cabinet doors. She saved what was sound, rejected what was not, and stopped treating every old mark like something shameful. The doors had been removed from their kitchens. Rebecca proved they had not reached the end of their usefulness.